What's that sound? It's for amusement only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk about Bally's 1974 Wall Street. Wall Street was the next 6-card bingo that came out after ticker tape. So what is a 6-card bingo? What's a bingo pinball machine in general? Well, the idea is it's a multi-coin pinball machine. The idea is that you drop in your first coin, the game will reset, and in this game's case it will light the first card. At that point you can either shoot and try to make the numbers on the first card to try and get 3, 4, or 5 in a row, or you can put in additional coins to light additional cards, 1 coin per card. So a max of 6 coins will light all 6 cards. Vic Camp and I talked on an episode dedicated to all the 6-card bingos called Strictly 6 Cards, and in that episode we did talk about Wall Street. Go back and listen to that episode if you would like to hear more, straight from a player who played Wall Street on location. But to continue tonight's discussion, this game had a few different features, gave the player additional items to shoot for or things to work towards in order to advance their score. One such thing is corners. Corners on any of the 6 cards would light at random as you inserted your 6 coins, and if it was lit on that particular card and you happened to make all 4 of the numbers that made up the corners of that card, then you would win the 5 in a line score for that card. And this is something worth discussing at this point here. Each of the cards had a different set of odds. Your first card would score the lowest, and your 6th card would score the most. So your main goal when you step up to a 6-card bingo and you have the money in your pocket is to put in 6 coins, light all 6 cards, and try immediately to shoot for a 5 in a line on card number 6. Failing that, you want to fall back to card 5, and failing that 4, and so on. And really, by the time you wind up on card number 1, you've just had a horrible game. It's unusual that you want to shoot for 5 in a line on card number 1, because you only win 100 replays, compared to the 300 that you'd win on card number 6. So, aside from corners, this game also had super lines. The super lines would also light at random as you put in your coins, and those were the line on the bingo card, which is next to the bottom. This row of numbers will light, and if you get 3 next to each other in a row on that super line, it'll score as if you got 4, and 4 will score as 5. So this is a very important feature to shoot for as well. However, the numbers in the super lines are not typically easy numbers to hit. Not that any number is easy for me to hit, but there you have it. I find that the super line numbers, especially when you need them, are very hard to hit. Now, this game also gave you a special feature. As you inserted coins, 1 or more of the cards might light the center number as a spot on any of the cards. This is a pretty fantastic feature because the center number, of course, opens up horizontal scoring, vertical scoring, and diagonal scoring. You can't make a diagonal win without having that center number lit, and it is typically very hard to hit the center number on any of the cards. So this is a huge advantage to the player. If your center spotted number lights on card number 6, you better go for it. That's a great feature, and one that I really wish that ticker tape had. Oh, I didn't even tell you about the playfield on this game. This is a 25-hole bingo pinball machine. Previous games that Bally had been running were experiments with 20-hole bingo pinball machines. I guess you couldn't call them experiments at this point because they'd put out about 10 or so titles. But Bally was attempting to figure out ways to earn lots of money and bring back in the bingo pinball players that they had lost due to the changeover in machines. And the 25-hole 6 cards were the answer. Quick games, limited feature sets, but important features. And on top of all of those features that I talked about, there's also the ability to double your winnings. So your 300 for a 5 in a row on card number 6 turns into 600, potentially. In order to do this, when you push the C button, in order to scan each of your cards for a winner, if it finds one, the machine will latch into place, and it'll start flashing double or nothing on the backglass. At that point, you can push the R button in order to receive your regular inline win, or you can push the D button to try for double or nothing. Now, just as the feature implies, it's quite possible the machine will decide to give you nothing at all, which is highly disappointing if you've got a difficult win like a 5 in a row and you decide to tempt fate by trying to double it. But my strategy for these machines is fairly simple. I'll play for 5 in a line on card number 6 and wind up with 3 in a line on one of the other cards. Now your 3 in a line scores are always 4. And so I feel it's fairly low stakes to risk your double or nothing on a 4 replay win. And so if it decides to grant it, you get 8 replays. And from there I'll build. That's more than one new game. From there I'll build and build and build until eventually I've got a few dozen or maybe even 100 replays. I pick up a 4 in a line here and there, maybe a 5 in a line, and for those I'll take the regular win. And at some point I'll make a big win. Maybe a 5 in a line on card number 6. And then I'll push the D button. And I'll get nothing at all. But that's how the game is played. It's fun. There's really nothing quite like these 6 cards as far as the speed of the game, but also kind of the thrill of that player control right up to the very end. It's you against the machine the whole way through. You're trying to nudge the ball into a particular spot, and the game really isn't helping you very much at all. With Wall Street and that center spotted number, they really started turning to helping the player a bit. But in games before this, it's just you in the game. There's no extra balls. There's no additional help. You just have to make your numbers. And therefore, it's quite easy to lose your entire bet. But these games are intensely fun, and I would urge anyone who has not tried a 6 card but happens to love bingo pinball to seek out and try one. You never know what you might like. And I had been told before getting into my ticker tape, the 6 card, that it's not something that would hold my attention very much. But honestly, it's the perfect game when I don't have a lot of time. I don't tend to like to start a session on Bounty or Double Up or one of the other games where I have to spend a lot of time thinking and repositioning and changing the way that my card is laid out. The 6 card games give you an awful lot of variety of gameplay with no moving numbers whatsoever. And for this reason, and the mechanics, which are a bit simpler than many of the other bingos. So let's talk about artwork. On Wall Street, the Backglass is reminiscent of ticker tape. You've got the ticker tape machine in the upper left-hand corner, and to the right you have Wall Street. Behind it you have a kind of green wood grain panel. Underneath you have the bingo cards, and in between the bingo cards you have a city skyline. And it's hand-drawn, but it almost appears to be a photograph. I think that the Backglass is quite attractive. So, moving on to the cabinet. Wow! You've got the city skyline at night across the entire cabinet, the head and the lower cabinet. It's beautiful. And then as far as the playfield goes, you've got a repeat of the skyline that's on the Backglass. And it's actually in two spots. You have kind of a clustered view from a 3/4 perspective up at the top near the ball arch, and then the straight-on view from the Backglass down about 3/4 of the way down the playfield. Overall, with the cabinet, the art package is fantastic. Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast, or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.